Some bosses see their employees as numbers. The rarest ones, they see them as people. Damien Collins, the CEO of Titan Enterprises, walked through the company parking lot late at night, dressed in simple jeans and a hoodie. No one knew who he was. He liked it that way. Tonight, he was doing what he did best, watching. He believed that to truly understand his company, he needed to see what happened when no one thought they were being watched. But what he saw next shattered him. Parked in the farthest corner of the lot was an old beat-up sedan. Inside, a young woman, curled up in the driver's seat, clutching a baby to her chest. Damien's heart tightened. He recognized her, Emma Blake, a hard-working single mother who had been with the company for months, always on time, never complained, and now she was living in her car, with her baby. Damien's hands clenched. How long had this been happening? How had no one noticed? One thing was certain. By tomorrow, everything would change. The next morning, Emma arrived at work exhausted. She had barely slept, cradling her baby in the freezing car overnight. But she couldn't afford to be late. She needed this job. As she clocked in, her manager, Mr. Jensen, called her over. "There's a meeting upstairs," he said. "You're needed." Emma froze. Upstairs? That was corporate level. She had never even set foot up there. Her heart pounded. Was she getting fired? She swallowed hard, adjusted her uniform, and made her way to the executive floor. When she stepped into the conference room, her breath caught. Sitting at the head of the table, dressed in a sharp suit, was Damien Collins, the CEO. Emma's stomach dropped. Why was he looking at her like he already knew everything? "Please, have a seat," Damien said, his voice calm but firm. Emma sat, her hands shaking. Then Damien slid a file across the table. She hesitated before opening it, and when she saw what was inside, her world flipped upside down. It was a job promotion, a higher salary, full benefits, and beneath it, a signed lease agreement. For a fully furnished apartment. Emma's hand flew to her mouth. I don't understand." Damien leaned forward, his expression gentle but serious. "I saw you last night, Emma. I know you and your baby have been living in your car." Tears filled her eyes. She had worked so hard to hide it, to survive, and now someone had noticed. Damien smiled. "You've been one of the hardest workers in this company, and no one who works this hard should have to struggle just to have a roof over their head." Emma broke down. Damien reached out, covering her trembling hand with his own. "This isn't charity," he said. "This is me taking care of the people who take care of my company." Emma let out a shaky breath, staring at the papers in front of her. She had spent so long fighting to survive. But today, she had finally won. Emma sat there, tears streaming down her face, staring at the papers in front of her. A promotion, a real salary, a home for her baby. It felt like a dream. She wiped her eyes, looking up at Damien, still unable to believe what was happening. Why would you do this for me?" Damien's voice was steady. "Because no employee of mine should have to sleep in a car. No mother should have to choose between feeding her child and keeping a roof over their head." Emma choked back a sob. "But I never asked for help." Damien smiled. "You didn't have to." He leaned back, his gaze unwavering. "A real leader doesn't wait for his people to beg. He pays attention." Later that evening, Emma stood in front of her new apartment, holding the keys. The same woman who had curled up in the back seat of a freezing car just the night before was now stepping into a fully furnished home. She held her baby close, tears slipping down her cheeks as she whispered, "We're home, sweetheart." And for the first time in years, she didn't have to be afraid of tomorrow, because someone had finally seen her. Someone had finally given her a chance. And one day, she would pay it forward. The best leaders don't just build businesses. They build people. And that is the greatest investment of all.